Big oil. I wouldn't say it's our main problem, but I'd say it's damn well one of them. Here's a gas-guzzling van and a SUV over there. My economy Honda Civic back there, which I'm waiting to get repaired. But, you know, we as Americans are, have been told that, the American way of life is the ability to do what we want, consume what we want, and my generation, that has changed, but in previous generations it has always been about the white picket fence, the big car, and back in the 1800s when the oil was first discovered, started to be pumped out of the ground, Rockefeller was the one who discovered these wonderful benefits of owning everything, and he created Standard Oil. Standard Oil became a monopoly, and by 1880 they controlled 90% of the fuel market, and he was the richest man in the modern day. And the American people were not having it, so they forced the government, and they told Roosevelt they wanted Standard Oil to be dissolved because they were monopolizing our fuel. And so they passed a bill and forced Standard Oil to break up. They gave them 6 months to dissolve. So what did they do? They dissolved into 30 separate companies, and each one of those 30 companies ran their own little piece of the game, and he still owned stock in all of them and was still the richest man. These things have not changed, but the way that we hide our business practices has, and they've learned how to divide it into, many different subsidiaries. And a while later, in case you're not aware of this, back in the 50s, America started building a lot of streetcars, a lot of trolleys in their everywhere around the nation, electric trolleys, and it was like kind of the pride of many cities. Well, 5 of these Standard Oil subsidiary companies banded together, and they bought up all of the nation's trolley systems that they could. And once they bought them, they burned all of the trolley cars publicly and dug up all of the tracks. And basically we're celebrating the idea of having motor cars and the freedom to travel. Now, this is one of the biggest conspiracies. These 5 companies were actually charged with conspiracy, and it went down in history as just another sad part of, our nation's reality of what we allow companies to do to our nation. We're talking in the 50s and 60s. We were already working towards having streetcars in our cities, and if the oil companies hadn't got their hands on this, then today we'd still have them. Now, most people are unaware that San Francisco used to, or wait, was it Los Angeles? I think it was Los Angeles, sorry. Used to have a subway system. And the subway system was bought out, once again, by Big Oil, and completely destroyed. And you can still go visit the old subway. Nobody ever asks, why was it removed? Nobody asks, what happened, where did our subway go? They just, people don't even know about it. They just assume that there must be a reason for it. And there is a reason. Oil. So in 1998, we were digging about 4,000 oil wells a year. Today, we're digging about 26,000 a year. And the people ask, why hasn't the price of gas gone down? Well, because these are harder and more difficult to access wells. And one of the only options left is hydrofracturing or fracking. And fracking is completely destroying our groundwater. People are having water that catches on fire out of their faucets. And the rest of the nation goes on as if these things just aren't happening. But there was a USGS report I read last week. The U.S. Geological Survey released a report that said that indeed the earthquakes that have been happening in Oklahoma are due to fracking. So this is, a scientific consensus that indeed fracking is causing earthquakes. So those who speculate on these things, can at least use that in your arsenal. It's only going to get worse, and we're destroying our ground water supply, we're destroying our planet, we're destroying our rivers just because of oil. Now, what do we do about it? There's nothing we can do about it. this point, we're screwed. We're too dependent upon oil. It's in our clothing, in our medicine, in everything we do. And to stop depending on oil, let's say even if every person stopped driving, or let's say every person on Earth cut their driving in half, would it make a difference? Sure, it would. But shipping puts out some huge percentage, you know, cross-sea shipping, huge ships putting out massive amounts of diesel fuel, air traffic as well. But one of the scariest prospects is that, and this is one of the things that kind of gets me down, is that even if we got Americans to see the light and see what's going on, and we all started buying more economic cars, maybe electric cars, whatever, even if we could get around this problem, China is about to surpass us as having more cars on the road than we do. In fact, they've had the entire population worth of people of our country, 300 million plus, move into the cities in the last 20 years. And China is poised for the next, you know, industrial revolution, if you will. And nothing's going to stop that. So unless we have some major economic collapse, which probably is imminent one way or another, we're going to continue to burn oil. And so the only resolve that I see, the only way I can see this ever, you know, ending, is for the economy to implode upon itself. And 2008 was a taste. And for those who don't know, the 2008 housing crisis, it had nothing to do with housing. In 2008, that was the first time in history that oil has reached $147 a barrel. And when that hit, people started pulling money out of everything. The stock markets were crashing. People were afraid that they were going to have a run on the banks, and therefore we had to bail out the banks. It's a very long, complicated process that is beyond most of us, and myself included. But the components of it that I do understand, I can see that, you know, until we confront big oil, we're just going to continue to have these problems. And since we are confronting big oil, and we are doing our best, it's just never enough. They have too much power. They've gained too much of a foothold. And, you know, these wells are active and running. You know, millions of wells that are pumping oil consistently. It's not going to stop. And it's not going to stop anytime soon anyway. Until we start running out of oil. And then what are we going to do? Well, we'll do what we've been doing. We'll find new ways to get it. And it'll probably be more and more polluting as we go. As if fracking isn't bad enough, we'll find new methods and continue to devastate our planet. And it's a vicious circle, people, because we have absolutely no recourse. There's nothing we can do to stop it. It has its own momentum, and it's picked up to the point now where I don't know what else we can do. Have a good day, everybody.